guys, how's it going? So today we're going to have a look at some more Future, this time at 90 BPM, a little slower and more of a house kind of feeling to it. I'm going to be breaking down the drop in different sections like the drums and synths to show you how to get some nice sounding layers in your track. With that said, let's get right into it. Alright, so the first section we're going to have a look at here is all the drums and effects I have, and alone, soloed out, they sound like this. And then they just repeat again for the next 8 bars. So the first thing we're going to have a look at is my kick right here. Alone sounds like this. And what I did for this is basically I took a dubstep kick and I cut out the very first transient here and replaced it with one of my favorite kicks that I use in all of my tracks. It's just a basic 808. Added a little more punchiness to the beginning of it, and then I did some tampering here with the fades. I cross-faded it at the very beginning and then faded it out at the end just because it was the tail end of it was too long. And then I just have this EQ cutting off everything below 30 Hertz, I believe. Yep. And then dipping the high end. And that's it for my kick. The next sound I have here is my snare or my clap. Wasn't really sure what to call it, but alone sounds like this. And again, all I have on that is an EQ, and then I cut off the low ends and I boosted the frequency right here. It would match the key, and the reason I did that is because if you hover over here and look in the bottom left corner, you can actually see which note it's hitting. So that was just to help fit the clap or the snare, whatever it is, into the track more easily. And then I also layered it with this weird little noise. Sounded like some percussive kind of hit. And again, just cut off the low ends. The next section we have here is all the hi-hats, and on it I just sidechained the entire group to the kick and then EQ'd and added a glue compressor. And the first sound in it is my hi-hat, super basic, sounds like this. Yeah, and that just repeats constantly throughout the drop. Again, EQing, cutting off the low and even some of the mid frequencies, and I have a glue compressor on here to kind of even out the volume of everything. The next sound I have is my ride, and alone it sounds like this. Using that same kind of strategy, pushing up at a certain frequency, and then I also boosted the highs and cut the lows and mid frequencies. Threw on another glue compressor, and then I layered it with a second ride where I took basically everything out except for the very high frequencies, and it sounds like this. The next sound we have is this weird little reverse noise, and alone it sounds like this. And what I did for this was a little interesting. Here, let me unfreeze or reactivate this. All I did for this was I recorded myself beatboxing into the microphone and came up with this. Found a little section that I like here. I cut it out. Then I believe I pitched it up. You have 15 semitones. Put the texture option on. Reduce the grain size. And then I warped it, expanding it quite a bit. And put a fade on it to make it kind of seem like it's building up a little bit. Again, sounds like this. So yeah, that's that noise. The next sound we have here is a mix of a bunch of different car noises of someone unlocking their car that I got off of freesound.org. Great website in case you ever just need a random real life sound. Alone sounds like this. And again, this is just a bunch of different noises. The whole sample sounds like this. And again, just cutting off the low end here. And I just chopped up different sections of that and put them in. The next noise we have here is my crash, and it sounds like this. Cutting off the low end again, nothing really super special. And then we have this weird reversed Foley sample that I got from Cymatic's like free pack, I think. And it sounds like this. Nothing special again. And then I layered that with another reverse crash cymbal. Cutting off the low end again. Then the last drum I have here is just a snare drum that's gradually getting pitched down. Go to clip and then transposition if you don't know how to do that, and you can draw in which semitones you want it. And lone sounds like this. And what I also did for that was I went to the transient section, put it on this arrow, I'm not exactly sure what it's called, and then reduced it to 45. Yeah, it kind of just shortens the snare. And the last thing we have here is the effect, and it's just reverse white noise. Nothing special again, and just cutting off the low end. So, yep, that is pretty much it for the drum section. I did, however, create a return channel with a reverb and send my clap to that. I forgot to mention that. But yeah, that's it for the drum section. Alright, so the last two sections we're going to have a look at here are my sub and my synth section. Soloed out, they sound like this. Alright, so the first part we'll have a look at here is the sub. On the group channel itself, all I have is an EQ cutting off the high end, a utility bringing down the width to mono, and then a glue compressor. Then I have this massive patch which soloed out sounds like this. And basically all it is a sine wave pitched down 12 semitones, and then I took this LFO, put it on the amp envelope, or the amp knob here, boosted the ratio to 16, and put it on a triangle wave to match basically the main wavy super saw that I have in here. And if you're wondering what the notes are, these are the notes for it and how they're put apart. So yeah, that's literally it for my sub. Then we go to the synths here. I have an auto filter which automates way later in the track, a reverb that at the very end we boost the dry wet and it just creates kind of this big fade out. Then I have two sidechain compressors and a glue compressor. And the first patch we have here is my main super saw synth, and I increased the width here with a utility, added another auto filter that it doesn't even need to be on there, I guess, and then an EQ, dipping in some of the higher ends and then boosting in the very high, cutting out the low end. The chords we have here all look like this. I really like to layer my chords with a lower note, which I copy into the subsection. Just adds a lot more, I feel. Yeah, got a good look at that. The patch itself, if we go into Serum here, is just the initial saw wave, I believe, and then I went into basic shapes and did the same, or the other saw wave, pushed up the unison, and then on the second one I increased it by an octave. I put this LFO on the levels of both of them. Then in the effects section, hyper dimension expander, a compressor, which I've turned on this multiband and boosted up the gain and took down the threshold, I believe, or boosted the threshold. Then I automate this low pass filter here, the cutoff and the mix, and then added a reverb to it. So altogether, that sounds like this. And then it just repeats for the rest of the song. The next thing I have here, actually I'm going to freeze this again just in case it causes some problems. The next thing I have here is a choir, copying the same chords that were on the supersaw. I just went into Contact, Instruments, Choir, and then the O one here. And yeah, I also put an octave on it in this chord section and boosted the reverb a little. Then EQ'd it, so it sounds like this. The next noise we have here is this kind of pitch down version of the Serum patch here. And what I did is I copied that exact same patch, took the LFO off everything, and then basically put it into an audio clip of the very end chord here, put an auto pan, boosted the amount and boosted the phase, and changed it to a triangle wave, and then I automate the, the rate right here, so it slows down gradually, and then also automate the auto filter right here, so we get this kind of noise. One of those cool future bassy kind of noises, and it's also getting sent to that same reverb channel. The next thing we have here is the vocal chops also getting sent to the reverb, and soloed out sounds like this. And on this, I basically sang the vocals all myself and consolidated and froze all this crap. If you're wondering what I have on the original vocals to make it sound like that, I have a gate, a saturator, a compressor, a ping pong delay, a reverb. I think I took off the ping pong delay and the reverb though. A multi-band compressor, this crazy EQ, and then a glue compressor. And I just, again, froze and flattened everything. Took it in here, and you can kind of see where I cut everything. And I just pitched it up different semitones, mostly being around 10 or 12, I think. Yeah. It's a little hard to explain how to do these vocal chops. It's mostly how you feel. You just gotta find those random little sections that sound nice, chop them up, but again, here's where I cut everything, in case you're just curious about that. I mostly just cut up the main sounds of everything that you can kind of pick apart. I'll play it again for you. So, yeah, that's that noise. And then we have it again right here, just louder with more reverb, I think. Don't think there was actually any big difference. And soloed sounds like this. Yeah, no real big difference there. Then I have these little glitchy things that I did in Massive. Basically, all I did was here, I'll do it right now. Went into Massive, and then I kept it at this original position with the oscillator, boosted up the fourth envelope, and then I would just play random notes at different pitches, and then I froze and flattened everything. There's a good tutorial, The Art of Bill. I recommend watching that series if you're kind of interested in glitchy kind of things. I'm not the best at explaining it, but basically it sounds like this soloed out. Just add some nice movement to it. I can actually play the original thing if we want. To kind of look at everything as a whole. Yeah, and I would just play random notes. That's what that one sounded like. And I would just do this multiple times until I got these glitchy noises. I'd pitch them all over. And these are all frozen. Again, I'll link in the description the Art of Bill. It's a little hard for me to explain. Totally recommend watching it, but again, just remember all I did was I pitched things around, playing random notes, adding different modes here, mostly going into like the texture or the repitch mode, and playing with the grain size and the flux and everything, warping different things, speeding them up, speeding them down. That's kind of how you make most of these glitchy kind of things. You just either speed them up or speed them down, change the warp mode. So yeah, that's mostly how I made that stuff. And then, what else do we have? We got more massive layers, and they sound like this. and this. And you can see I'm automating which or where it's panned to. The patch itself, I threw a redux on it, turned up the downsample to give it kind of a dirtier sound to it, EQ'd it, and then in the patch itself, it's just a square wave with the pitch automated, the attack all the way up, the level all the way up, the level all the way down, and then I just played with the decay till I got the sound I wanted, or so it just sounds like that basically. And then the MIDI notes are these right here for this one. And then I added these little beginning parts to it to kind of give that pitch up effect because I believe, oh yeah, never mind, just to kind of give it more of a glitchy kind of feel. And then there's one note down here at D1. And then the next noise we have here is that same patch, but I just played a singular note, and alone it sounds like this. Gives a nice little build up to it. Again, it's just a singular note played. I just played with the, not the panning, the transposition. I mean, it starts all the way at 0. It was a way low bass note, and then I boosted it 48 semitones and played with the fades also. Just gives a nice little build up to that little noise. Then the last patch we have here is my arpeggiator. It sounds like this. And I just copied those same chords, threw on an arpeggiator, and then in the actual sample, this is, or not the sample, the patch, pitched it up 12 or 24 semitones. This is literally all that it is. Nothing special at all. And then on the arpeggiator, I put it to a swing 16, the rate 16, then the gate at 29%, and then I panned it. So, yeah. That's it for the last sections. Hey guys, hope you all enjoyed the video. If there's anything else you want me to cover in future tutorials, different genres, things more in depth, feel free to leave a comment below. But other than that, hope you all have a good one.